Entering the NBA world, if you're a great athlete, you can have it all. Fame, money, the spotlight, everything. But if you're not careful, you could lose everything as quickly as you gained it. That's exactly what happened to these 15 NBA stars who went broke in the dumbest ways. Let's check out how exactly that happened. Number 15. Shawn Kemp. Shawn Kemp used to be an NBA legend. The man made a massive $91 million from his NBA career and another $11 million from endorsements. He was a key player for the Seattle Supersonics, where he teamed up with Gary Payton to lead the team to the NBA Finals in 1996. Unfortunately, Kemp's career took a downturn after being traded to Portland in 2000, where his performance declined sharply. Originally, he was a high scorer, but then Kemp transitioned to a lesser role on the bench in Portland. His personal life contributed heavily to his struggles. Kemp has 7 children with 6 different women, and you can imagine what that means: more child support than you can afford. After retiring from his NBA career, he faced substantial expenses for child support, alongside costs for homes and vehicles. On top of that, Kemp faced serious challenges with substance abuse. His issues with cocaine and alcohol became public during his time with the Trailblazers. This eventually necessitated a stint in rehab. Legal troubles followed him as well. He was arrested multiple times for marijuana possession. So, from a net worth once estimated at $91 million, Kemp's finances have now plummeted to around $5 million. This is how fast you can go broke if you're not serious with your finances. Despite these challenges, he's now a part owner of Amber's Kitchen in Seattle. It means he's now striving to rebuild his life and stay on a positive path. While Shawn lost most of his money to child support and court cases, this next player spent almost all of it on just one ridiculous thing. Number 14. Joe Smith. Joe Smith was once a top NBA draft pick. He really knew how to score on the court. Over his 16-year career, he earned a whopping $61 million. But after his NBA days, Joe went broke. At one point, he was down to his last $3,000 and facing a mountain of debt totaling $150,000. So where did all that money go? Well, a big chunk of Joe's earnings disappeared thanks to a ton of taxes, not to mention the cut taken by agents and managers. Add to that some reckless spending, poor investments, and a pricey divorce, and you can see how the money started to evaporate. But the biggest problem was that he had a unique habit. He used to buy a new house in every state where he played basketball. Yeah, you heard that right. Every single state. By 2018, this had him hitting rock bottom financially. Nowadays, we often see him telling his story and advising others to use it as a cautionary tale. He's been through a rough patch, even battling deep depression, but he's coming out on the other side wanting to help upcoming athletes dodge the financial missteps he made. He often appreciates his fellows like LeBron James and Stephen Curry, who are setting a solid example of how to manage money wisely. Joe might be the only player who lost his fortune because of buying a house in every state, but Shawn Kemp is definitely not the only one going broke due to child support. Number 13. Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice was a sharpshooter who ruled the NBA courts in the 90s. With a three-point shot that was nothing short of legendary, he topped the charts in the 1996-97 season with a mind-boggling 47% accuracy from the arc. You would think someone with his skills and a whopping career earnings of over $68 million would be set for life, right? Well, not exactly. Post-NBA life was a rough start for Rice. Despite earning millions during the peak of his career, Glenn's transition from top-tier athlete to regular Joe was anything but smooth. First of all, he had no clear financial plan. His millions started to disappear into thin air. Most of his money was lost on failed investments and overspending habits. Glenn also had to keep up with hefty child support payments. Normally, you'd think a few grand a month would be pocket change for an NBA star, but when the money machine stops churning, every dime counts. Facing a financial crunch, Glenn had to plead with the court to lower his child support payments from $1,500 to a more manageable $600 a month, provided he cleared his back dues. During that time, Glenn turned to signing autographs and coaching budding basketball players to make ends meet. This was far from the glamorous life he once knew. However, don't get sad too soon. Nowadays, our man Glenn has managed to bounce back. He has a current net worth of $25 million. He's now a community ambassador for the Miami Heat, so it's not that bad of a comeback. Now, Glenn was not the only one to lose his earnings on failed investments. Number 12. Darius Miles. Darius Miles was only 18 when he made the leap from high school basketball to the NBA limelight. He became the third overall pick in the 2000 draft. After that, he signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. Through his contract, he used to earn $3 million annually. And then throughout his career, Miles earned an impressive $62 million. However, his journey took a harsh turn due to a knee injury that prematurely ended his NBA dreams. Despite the common narrative of young athletes ending their fortunes on lavish lifestyles, Miles' downfall was not due to extravagant spending. Instead, he faced financial ruin from a series of poor investment choices. Just 6 years after his retirement, Miles declared bankruptcy in 2016. Unlike the stereotypical stories of sports stars buying extravagant toys, Miles pointed out in an interview that risky financial ventures are the real culprits behind his financial collapse, and most of the time others too. Number 11. Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson was one of the best power forwards. After shining at UNLV, he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, where he quickly became a fan favorite. In his 5 seasons with the Hornets, Johnson averaged 19.2 points and 9.2 rebounds per game and was selected as an All-Star twice. He later joined the New York Knicks, where he continued to be popular and even made a memorable 4-point play. Johnson earned over $80 million during his career, but it ended abruptly when he was just 31 years old due to severe back injuries. These injuries not only ended his career early, but also led to expensive surgeries that he needed just to function day to day. He had to retire from his career, and that was when his financial problems started. In fact, by 2015, he had filed for bankruptcy due to the large amounts of child support he owed. He was in such a tough financial position that he agreed to give his home in California to one of the women he owed child support to clear a debt of $890,000. It wasn't entirely his fault, but for some part it was, because he didn't plan for his retirement, just like this next player. Number 10. Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner carved out a respectable NBA career. There's no arguing that. He started off with 3.5 strong seasons at the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he averaged 17.2 points and 8.1 rebounds per game. After that, he achieved his career highlight in Atlanta as an All-Star in 1997. Throughout his career, Laettner accumulated earnings of just over $60 million. Post-retirement, however, Laettner started to struggle financially. Why so? Well, he engaged in a series of unsuccessful business ventures and real estate deals that led him to the brink of bankruptcy. At one point in his life, he found himself deep in debt. He owed $14 million to creditors in North Carolina. Complicating matters further, he entered a business deal with Scottie Pippen, who was his teammate from the 1992 Olympic Dream Team. They tried to buy the Memphis Grizzlies. The purchase fell through and Pippen lost his investment. This led to a lawsuit against Laettner. Pippen won the case and was awarded $2.5 million. This affected Laettner's finances further. Even though he was on the brink of bankruptcy, his situation was still better than this next player. Number 9. Eric Williams. Eric Williams had a pretty good 12-year stint in the NBA. He shined bright in his second season with the Boston Celtics, where he scored an average of 15 points and grabbed 4.6 rebounds per game. But after a nasty injury in his third season, he was just not the same player. He even played a season with a rookie who turned out to be none other than LeBron James. But life after basketball has not been easy for Williams. Can you believe just 10 years after hanging up his jersey, he was homeless and struggling with some pretty heavy bills? To make things worse, he got hit with a notice saying he was $24,000 behind on child support. Luckily, things have started to look up for him. He's managed to clear his debts and get back on his feet. It's been tough, but Eric is making a comeback. Number 8. Vin Baker. Vin Baker was a standout forward in the 1990s. He lit up the court during his early NBA years with the Milwaukee Bucks. As a powerful offensive player, he consistently delivered impressive stats, averaging 21 points and 10 rebounds per game. However, Baker's teams in Milwaukee never made the playoffs. It wasn't until a trade to Seattle in 1997 that Baker got a taste of postseason action. In both Milwaukee and Seattle, Baker shone as an all-star. And can you guess how much he earned? Over $97 million throughout his career. Unfortunately, Baker's life off the court was filled with challenges. He fought with alcoholism and addiction, which took a heavy toll on his finances and personal well-being. He practically went broke. However, Baker's story is one of resilience and recovery. After a tough battle with his addictions, he sought a fresh start by reconnecting with Howard Schultz, who was the Starbucks CEO and former owner of the Supersonics. Schultz gave him a chance to manage a Starbucks in Connecticut, helping him rebuild his life. Today, Baker continues his journey of redemption by giving back to the sport that made him a star. He's currently an assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks, the team where his professional journey began. Like Baker, this next player enjoyed a lavish lifestyle at the peak of his career. But just like Baker, this next player as well ended up losing his fortune. Number 7. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman earned about $27 million during his NBA career. If we calculate his earnings in today's value, that would roughly make $43 million. However, despite these substantial earnings, Rodman once declared bankruptcy. The major financial drain for Rodman came from child support and spousal payments. Could you believe these were around $860,000? It was too much even for a successful NBA player. Why did he have to pay so much? Well, it was his relationships with multiple women that led to these significant expenses. Other than these personal financial burdens, Rodman fell victim to a fraudulent sports agency. On top of all that, his controversial behavior on and off the court resulted in fines that totaled around $1.5 million throughout his career. As of today, Dennis Rodman's net worth is just $500,000. It's just a fraction of what one might expect from a former NBA star of his stature. The same is the story of another NBA star who came after Dennis Rodman. Number 6. Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker was one of the most successful NBA players. At 6'8", he might have been on the short side for a power forward, but that did not stop him from making his mark in the NBA. He had the kind of attitude where even on an off night, he would keep shooting until the game was over. Walker made it big as a three-team All-Star with the Boston Celtics, where he once scored an impressive 23.4 points and 8.9 rebounds per game. He also helped the Miami Heat win an NBA championship in 2006. Now, you can only guess his net worth at that time. Over his career, he earned a whopping $105 million. But talk about a financial freefall. Just a year after his big win with Miami, while still trying to keep his game alive in Minnesota, Walker filed for bankruptcy. It was Walker himself who revealed the reason for his bankruptcy. He revealed that it was his love for gambling and some pricey legal cases that led to his downfall. Luckily, Walker has since pulled himself out of that mess, and now you can catch him on ESPN's morning and midday shows. Number 5. Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was once a titan in the NBA world. Still, the star managed to burn through a staggering $200 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $200 million gone. How? Well, Iverson had no financial plans whatsoever. He didn't just spend lavishly, he was notoriously reckless with his cash. Iverson did not even trust banks, so he used to keep huge sums of money in garbage bags around his house. Not exactly a foolproof plan. But could you believe that some of his bags of cash started disappearing, and he didn't even investigate? One other thing that led to his bankruptcy was his spending on entertainment. Rumors were that at one point he was spending $30 to $40 grand on nights out at strip clubs. $30 to $40 grand a night! Matt Barnes, an ex-NBA player, once said Iverson would throw so much money around that he would sometimes scoop up and re-throw bills that fell to the floor. Listening to these stories, it's no shock that he had to file for bankruptcy. Just like Walker, this next player lost his fortune due to his wild partying habits. Number 4. Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman started off strong in the NBA. He was the top pick for the New Jersey Nets and quickly made his mark by winning the 1991 NBA Rookie of the Year award. He averaged 18.4 points and 10.3 rebounds per game in his first year, and even made it to the All-Star game in 1994. Despite making over $90 million during his career, Coleman was bankrupt by 2010. It's not clear how it all happened, but many believe his big spending and party lifestyle played a part. But things turned around for Coleman. He decided to go back to school, earned a degree, and now he's doing some good with his experiences. He's actively involved in helping his hometown of Flint, Michigan, get clean water, and works with young athletes at Syracuse University. Coleman is using his past to help others and change his story. Number 3. Dan Issel. Dan Issel is a legendary figure in Denver Nuggets history. He's even celebrated for being a Hall of Famer and a 7-time NBA All-Star. He scored an impressive 20.7 points per game over his 10 years with the Nuggets, and later took on roles as the team's head coach and executive. However, life outside basketball brought some challenges for Issel. After his time in basketball, Issel tried his hand at running a business, but it did not work out. In 2009, he had to declare bankruptcy because he owed a large sum, over $4.5 million, to 34 different people and companies. This was a tough time for him, as he felt really embarrassed by the situation. To help pay off his debts, he even had to sell some of his treasured basketball memorabilia from his days in the NBA and ABA. Eventually, Issel managed to overcome these financial difficulties. He cleared his debts and fixed his issues with the IRS. Now he's gotten his finances back on track. He's in a much better place financially. While Issel only had to sell his basketball memorabilia, this next player's finances were so bad that he had to sell almost everything he had. Number 2. Latrell Sprewell. Latrell Sprewell is a 4-time All-Star who was known for his dynamic play with the Warriors and Knicks. He would often score around 20 points a game. Despite earning nearly $100 million during his career, his post-retirement years were quite tough for him financially. By 2008, Sprewell had lost a lot. He even lost his yacht, which was seized and repossessed by federal marshals due to unpaid bills. Shortly after, his $1.5 million home was foreclosed. Like Sprewell, there was another NBA star who went broke after retiring from the field. Number 1. Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson enjoyed a 14-year NBA career. He was one of the best of the New Jersey Nets, where he made his sole All-Star appearance. With the Nets, he averaged impressive stats and was particularly strong in 1994. He was so good that he earned over $60 million during his career. But even that much money was not enough to save him from post-retirement financial issues. Anderson faced financial troubles by the time he retired in 2006. It was largely due to personal issues and costly life choices. For example, it included multiple DUIs. He even had to support 7 children from 5 different relationships. However, Anderson's story took a positive turn in 2017 when he shared his journey in a documentary called Mr. Chips. If he hadn't said yes to that documentary, God knows where he would have been now. It's not just NBA players, though. Some soccer stars have made equally questionable decisions and lost their fortunes too. Watch this video to see the surprisingly dumb ways some soccer players have gone broke. Don't miss out.